Welcome everybody, my name is Michael, and today we are going to be discussing what my favorite Volvo is and what my next Volvo will be, and also what my dream Volvo would be. This is coming from a Volvo salesman and from somebody who had as their first Volvo a 2007 Volvo S80, and next I had a S60. Although not that one, because that one is much cooler. It's a newer one, and also in one of my favorite colors, inspired by Audi's Nardo Gray. But mine was a 2015 S60. In both cases, both cars are totaled, and now we have a S90, the elongated version of that. This is the realistic dream car. This is the next car, the XC90. I don't know about this color specifically. I'm not as much about the colors, but in terms of the space, well, you have a lot of space here. This one's also a Corse, so I probably wouldn't get that, the base model. Although I would get the two-tone beige steering wheel again. That's what I had in my S60. So that's the realistic dream car. This is something that, yes, probably, is it going to be my next Volvo? Well, we're a little bit a ways from that. In terms of the pricing, not a new one. A used one, possibly. But that brings me to another point. This is the realistic dream car, a pre-owned version of this. Maybe a newer model, a certified pre-owned model, something that's a couple years older, or maybe the first generation of the newer body style, not the older body style, so 2016 and above, the Spa series. With that, maybe a 2018, a 2019, like the pre-owned ones we have, if it's 25,000 and under. But if we are to look at what would a Volvo salesman want as a interesting car, as their next car, well, we're going to go back. We're going to go way back. Stuff that you don't really see nowadays. These are older vehicles, and in Europe, you might see them a fair amount. In America, you're not going to find one unless it was imported. Then you will. But if there was a vehicle, a Volvo that I would want, this is one of my craziest picks, but you haven't heard about this one. There's a lot of these models, and if I was to purchase one right now, probably the best location would be Amsterdam in the Netherlands. There's a couple in Germany. Maybe there's a couple in Poland. Maybe Poland would be a little bit easier for me to import since I lived there and would be able to speak the language and negotiate with the seller. But anyways, Europe has a lot of these. America, you're not going to find it. The reason I really badly want this, and here we go, here's an image, is, first of all, it's the only Volvo with pop-up headlights, and it's the funkiest looking Volvo. It's crazy. Look at it from the back. I mean, this is something that doesn't cost a lot. Yes, even with the import costs and taxes and all of that associated effort, you can probably get one under $15,000. There's a great chance that you might get it under 12, maybe even under 10,000. If it was without the import costs, we'd be talking about potentially a $5,000 or less vehicle. So the import costs really kind of bite into that. But these cars, and this is kind of the crazy concept version of it here, these cars have a lot of potential. And if I could, this is the number one Volvo that I'd want just for the wow factor, due to it being so different, so rare. The fact that you're not going to find one in America. It is something I would greatly want to see. Although I did see on bidding websites, people on Bring a Trailer, I think there might have been one on Cars and Bids, Bring a Trailer for certain. There were individuals who had imported it, gone through the entire process, and it's for sale. Although these are super, super rare, and given the absolute size of America, probably in your state, in Illinois, I haven't seen one listed yet, so I don't know. But this would be the number one. The Volvo 480 was a three-door hatchback that initially was intended to be a wagon market for the U.S., where in 1987, these plans ceased due to the strength of the dollar falling. So from 1986 to 1995, I believe it was a number 76,375 of these 480s were produced in different versions. And there were some concepts where they wanted a convertible version of these. And by the way, Volvo, there's very few convertibles out there. I would love a Volvo convertible. except I'd love a modern day Volvo convertible. And I know Polestar's planning that, but come on, that'd be something cool. I know maybe for the American market, I don't know the data, I don't know the statistics. Maybe it doesn't make sense, but for some brands it does. Make a limited run. Come on, it'd be cool. It'd be very cool, like an S60 convertible version, or I don't know, something similar but based off of it and a little sportier, maybe more horsepower. Who knows? Like a 455 non-recharge. I don't know. They're not going to put big engines in it, but anyways. So with the 480, this was a super cool vehicle. Mainly it was assembled and produced in the Netherlands, and it was only for 9 years. These vehicles were maybe not the most luxurious. The interior was something straight out of, right then and there, 80s, 90s. It's just crazy. I really, really want this car. And a lot of people, even working at Volvo dealerships, have never even heard about this car. Maybe it's because I lived in Europe and I haven't seen one in real life, but I've seen Volvos over there that you just won't find over here. Very old Volvos that you can find probably for less than $500, but that was maybe what inspired me for this. And the pop-up headlights, they're cool. So that brings me to the next one. So we discussed what a realistic dream next Volvo would be. We discussed what my favorite Volvo would be, but what would my ultimate dream Volvo be? Well, if you can count this, I would say the craziest one and the most expensive one is the Polestar 1, a hybrid that, if you ever played the Need for Speed games, they modified it. It was on the cover and it was crazy. They put a big wang on it, and here, this is what we're talking about. But I would get into gold color, and this would be an insane ride. I mean, just look at the interior there. It is, whew, and the where the batteries for the hybrid motor are, that is super cool looking. Except this car is like 150 grand and super limited, and technically it's not even a Volvo. It is a Volvo. It's based off of Volvo. Volvo bought Polestar, but some may not consider it. So if we're gonna stick strictly with if we were to stay with Polestar, by the way, the next one would be the Tesla Roadster competitor, which I know the Tesla Roadster hasn't even technically come out yet, and the Polestar 6, I believe it was, is not out yet, but it looks super cool. But sticking with Volvo, if I was to take one Volvo right now, what my realistic dream car would be an XC90. Maybe, if I could, a very used one, higher trim level with the Bowers and Wilkins. But if I was going to stick with brand new, something that's not out yet but will be out in a matter of a couple months, is the EX90. And I'd take the top trim with, maybe even the EX30 could be a very cool car, because it's going to be the fastest one and the lowest priced one. Rear-wheel drive, not the fastest one. The rear-wheel drive probably is going to be like 35, where the EX30 with all the horsepower and gadgets and top trim would probably be like 50, 60, I don't know, something like that. So EX90 starting at 80, and it's going to be essentially this, but the electric version of it, like 300 miles of range. I think the top end is 100. I don't know if it goes beyond that. It probably does, because there's a pretty wide range from a base XC90 right now. We're sitting in a car that is window sticker, I believe it's like 59 or whatever. A base core is like 56, but this one does have, climate package and protection package Premier and larger rims and whatnot. But it goes from that to, if you're also including the XC90 recharges, which is almost exactly the same car, except now you have a 455 horsepower internal combustion engine combined with that hybrid motor. Then it's not only a $10,000 difference between the mild hybrids and the recharges, but you're talking top trim level to the base mild hybrid. We've seen XC90 recharges at 92, 93,000. So there's a huge difference, $30,000 plus difference there. Now, between just the normal core, base core, and top end ultimates, you're not going to be in the 90s. You're going to be, with the Bowers and Wilkins and air suspension and Polestar. Not very few cars have the Polestar, and maybe if you get a tow hook and some extra accessories, you're talking, low 80s. So there, again, $10,000 difference between the recharges and all that. But with everything, the EX90 seems like it could be, the $100,000, 110, 120, whatever it is, going to be worth it. The top end with the seats, with the sound bar, with just the way it's driving, with the speed, with all the specs that are there, that is probably my dream car. Now it's way out of the range, because it's, we're talking about $100,000, six-figure car here. So maybe below that if the S90 Recharge was still being produced next year. I don't know. But, S90 Recharge would be cool. Maybe S60 Recharge, but I'd probably prefer S90 or V90. So that brings me to the next point. What would my next vehicle be? Would it be, that was, by the way, the old S60. This one's 2017, mine was 2015. What would my next vehicle be? Would it be XC90, XC60, XC40? Well, it would be none of these that we have on the lot right now. The reason being is my next real car, the Volvo, is I would go as cheap as possible. I would choose anything $1,000 to $4,000. Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, whatever. If I could, an old Volvo from the 90s. But there's not many of them out there. In Europe, it's much easier to find the real generation of the S90. We're talking 1990s S90, 1998, my birth year S90, that'd be cool. Or S70, or, the wagons. We're talking now, there's just so much to choose from the 800 series, from the 900 series. Are you going to go with a 240? There's so much. There's the Italian combination. What was that company? I actually have to look this up. I think it started with a B. Bertone, that's what it was. A 262C Bertone. That would be like the Cadillac, the Italian Swedish Cadillac. Obviously, there's not many of them in good shape, because now we're talking about 70s. And if we go way, way back, this would be another cool car, the P1800, the Amazon. There's so many awesome cars, but you actually need to know people who can fix these cars up, because they're probably not in the best shape, and it's going to cost a lot of money to get them up and running in perfection. So you got the 700, the 800, the 900 series, the 200 series, but maybe a 900, because that, you had the extended, the limousine version. And probably realistically, what I've seen myself, maybe an old V70. An S40, I could take an S40. There's some manual S40s in red, but those also can be tricky. Some of these guys want $10,000, $15,000, and I get it. Some of them are in good shape. A C30, but that's probably going to be above that. Probably a wagon, maybe an 850. An 850R would be cool. The realistic option to get into a good price range and a very good car, as much as I hate to say it, is take advantage of the fact that, hey, if you're a car salesperson, the best way you can find a car for yourself is trade-ins. And if not trade-ins, if someone doesn't want to trade it in but is open to selling it, but not to the dealership because maybe it's a vintage car or whatnot, I'm honest to the fact that, sometimes I've had clients, elderly clients, where they have a very nice looking car, and I told them I'd buy it right off you if I could. If I could. There was this one gentleman, A50R. This car was pristine. I'm sure he would have. I talked with him. I'm certain he would have probably let it go for under $10,000. And this car it had all the records. He was a one owner. It was crazy. It was garage kept, and he just had no need for it. He said he's having trouble selling it because he doesn't know to post it in certain places. I told him, hey, if you can, Cars and Bids, this could, try and get one of your grandchildren to help you set up an account and take all the photos and all that. If he was local, I'd help him, but it was a long delivery. I helped him set up his first Gmail, or no, he already had a Gmail account, but it was a very exciting process, because what usually would take 30 minutes took 3-4 hours, and he had a great time. We went through everything. He was a very, very happy customer. But his car, I just remember that it was awesome. I really, really would find a great deal probably through somebody who is either trying to sell for a family member or just doesn't need this car anymore. They're getting older and they just bought a new car or whatnot. I would take it off their hands, and I'd give him a fair deal. But some of these cars, a lot of people want crazy numbers, right? And the way I sold my private cars in the past before was I just gave a low offer, and sometimes I had to keep lowering it until somebody finally found it. So, in certain cases, it's like the person's just happy to get rid of it, and I'll be happy to take it. And these cars will need to be well taken care of. But the next car is really anything I can find for a good price. That I prefer the older Volvos. I really like that feel. I want a classic car, where soon some of these cars that are 20 years old, soon they will be classic cars, 25 plus years. So this is coming from someone, maybe it's because when I lived in Poland, seeing a brand new Volvo like this, you'd only see it in the city. You're not going to see it in the countryside, and you'd only see it maybe a business owner, somebody who's actually wealthy, because you don't have these crazy lease deals and financing, special APR. I mean, you do, but I just took a look at the Polish bank rates yesterday, and they had a promotional rate of 12.7%, and I was like, wait, what? It's crazy. Inflation's a lot higher over there, and you just don't have financing and leasing to the same aspect as you do here. It's mainly businesses that lease. Yes, there's leases, but it just works completely differently. So most likely, if you see a brand new Volvo in Poland or Ukraine or whatnot, you're going to see, okay, that guy's probably wealthy. He probably bought it in cash or owns a business and could pay for it cash today if you want it. He could crash it and get another one, no problem. So anything that excites me, but a V70 would be cool. An old first generation S60, first gen S80. There's so many cars to choose from that hopefully once I get out of my financial troubles within the next 2 years, I would like to say I drive a Volvo again. Now, once the 2.5 to 3 year period of my wife's lease and the S90 comes due, I'm hoping 2.5 years, because that means I'll get access to it sooner, as long as I have my credit repaired a little bit more by then and save up some money. When she goes to buy out the lease, hopefully, is when, I can take over ownership of the vehicle and she can get herself something newer, at the time. That's my hope. I'd love to take her S90, but that is that. So guys, thanks for watching. I don't know if you enjoy these types of videos where it's just kind of me talking in a Volvo, but this is what my personal opinion is on some of these crazy cars. And as a Volvo car salesman, what I would drive, what my favorite cars would be. I mean, there's just so many. There's not a single Volvo I don't love. There's not a single Volvo. Some, yes, like the C30, it's controversial. Some will say, oh, it's a little bit of a funky looking car. But I like that. I like that it's quirky. I like the 480. I mean, come on. There's certain cars. There was this one crazy car on Bring a Trailer. It was like a Volvo military vehicle with like a machine gun on top. And I thought that was the coolest thing ever, like a 1950s Volvo. Like, I'd want that. Like, that'd be awesome. I'm a Volvo fanatic, a Volvo loyalist. Yes, I love other brands as well, but Volvo, no matter what, will always be my top number one. And that's maybe because, I see my family members driving it. I see friends driving it. I've driven it. I do believe that after the 2 crashes, maybe I wouldn't have died in them, but who knows? Maybe I would have been injured if I had been driving. For example, I had a Ford Mondeo. The American version would be the Ford Escape, and this car would have been just completely totaled, and I probably would have been suffering some major injuries had I totaled that vehicle at 60 miles an hour and went off-road like I did with the S60. S60, I came to work still, and it was insane. My neck hurt a little bit, but that was normal. I tensed up, and after 2 weeks, that was gone. My neck didn't hurt anymore. I had no bruising. I had no injured bones and nothing. And, once you go through a scary, crazy accident like that, where it could have been potentially life-changing, that's it. A flash of your eyes, and your life's gone before you. Maybe that's why I'm so in love with the brand. And yeah, there's a lot of very nice cars out there from other brands. They're also very safe, but this brand has earned my total and complete respect. And that's why I will continue to drive Volvos in the future. So anyways, thanks for watching. Have a good one. And I really appreciate us hitting 100 subscribers. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Maybe we can hit 200. Bye.